sits properly, stands properly, and walks properly. Well, clearly Sara does none of those things properly. I didn't even know what properly was. I was about 8 years old looking at my report card. And there's this whole section that actually said, sits, walks, and stands properly. Now, I am a Jamaican girl. I like running barefoot. I like screaming at the top of my lungs, climbing mango trees, and playing in mud. So properly, I didn't know what it was. But when I read that report card, I was looking for all the greatness I was, with the check marks that I did something so wonderful. And instead, I had X after X after X. I did not do that properly. So, in trying to figure out what that was, went to school the next day. And it's lunchtime. And lo and behold, there's an entire group that's running after the iguanas, throwing stones, running out of their shoes. And I learned something. They're expected to explore. They are expected to discover. They are expected to break the rules. But me, I learned that day, I'm actually expected to keep them. And I tried. I promise you. Over decades, I tried to keep the rules. But I found that I was losing my sense of expression. I was losing my zest for dreams. My personality started getting more docile and inward. And I was getting frustrated because this 8-year-old girl kept gnawing at me on the inside, saying, there is a whole mango tree of dreams left to climb. What are you doing? And I don't know if you've ever done that. If you've ever dimmed yourself down or dumbed yourself down. It looks like being in a meeting and you have an opinion and you choose to reserve it because you don't want to seem too much. You don't want to get rejected. Or you could be in a meeting and you don't really agree, but in order to not upset what's going on, you roll your eyes on the inside, but you're nodding on the outside. So this is kind of what's happened to me. And I'm not sure if this has happened to you. Along the way, you find yourself wanting to dream bigger, wanting to dream richer, but something on the inside is saying, not for you. So there is this movement that's going on, and I'm not sure if you're aware of it, because we have to find out our place inside of it. And this kind of movement is saying, hey, do you want to live by the checks? Or are you going to live by the X? Are you going to fall into what everyone expects of you? Or are you going to challenge that status quo inside of you? This movement, sometimes it's really loud. And it looks like organized marches where you get to burn your bra. And other times, it looks really quiet. Like a woman who opens a bank account and doesn't let her husband know. I call this the happily richer after shift. See, women want to decide now what happily richer after looks like. Because, see, we were raised on happily ever after. The problem with happily ever after is we're always in distress. We're waiting for someone to gallop on the white horse, whisk us up, and our redemption is based on a relationship that was founded on rescue, not recognition. So, where do we go from here? Even if culture is pushing us to stay in one place, even if that is what we were brought up to think, because when I looked back, I remember reciting nursery rhymes like, this is the house that Jack built, and Polly put the kettle on so we all can have tea. But this movement is not that. Do you know that Pew Research shows that 45% of women in opposite-sex marriages, they actually earn the same or more than their spouses? This number has tripled in 50 years. Tripled. And when she's a breadwinner, the median income for her is $88,000. And for him, it's $35,000 a year. That means something is happening. Whether we like it or not, something is happening. But then there's a McKinsey study, and it showed that in corporates, corporations, when there's women diverse representation in a board versus an all-male board, that sales increased by 42%. 42%. So what is this showing us? This is showing us that some people may believe that women are just emotional liabilities. But what we're seeing is there are exceptional assets to invest in. Now, in over 20 years of working with women, here's one of the things. When they begin to take personal responsibility and decide what happily richer after is going to look like for them, it may look like they snap. They just decide a course, don't inform you, don't invite you to the conversation, and boom, they have done something different. And you go, what has happened? It's not menopause all the time. Sometimes it's a woman deciding that she wants to do something different. And when she's in the decision process, sometimes it sounds like this. I want to go back to school, but what's going to happen with the children? It sounds like, if I could, I would. Or, what do you think? Is it a good time for me to? You see them begging and pleading and asking for space, that their potential is frustrated in being stuck. They want more space. And I've learned that women are seeking permission when they should be seeking wisdom and support. So, what do we do? Where do we go from here? And why is that the case? Because we're fighting for a seat at the table when the table should have never been built without us in the first place. It has been proven. The statistics let us know that when a woman has input and is involved in vision casting and getting that vision to pass, we see that corporates are bigger and richer and more profitable. But what about our communities? What about our families if women were given the space? And where does that start? Well, it starts with us. So if you're a woman and you have to ask yourself, are you going to permit yourself right now, today, to dream, to execute, not stay in the status quo, to not negotiate yourself into boredom, routine, and norm? You know, Miles Monroe said it like this. He says, the richest place on earth is the graveyard because it is filled with untapped potential. So to the woman, I'm asking you, will the graveyard be filled with your unfulfilled dreams, or will it be empty because you did everything you wanted to do? To the man that is here, you may or may not recognize that you have privilege. Will you leverage your privilege as a husband, a father, a leader, an employer? When you see female brilliance around you, will you put their name in the hat? Will you recognize it in your daughter or your wife, your co-worker or your subordinate? Will you recognize that female brilliance and instead of standing in the door, open it by recommending her business, referring her? At the very least, if all of us will just respond when we see untapped, frustrated potential, how much more richer could we be? I see it like this. If we do not take up that task, it's going to look like this. Now, there's a nursery rhyme we used to do a long time ago. Maybe you're too young, maybe you're not. It goes a little something like this. Humpty Dumpty sat on a wall. Do you know it? You do? Humpty Dumpty had a great, oh my gosh. And all the king's horses and all the kings could not put Dumpty together again. No. A society that wants to be progressive will not be progressive. It will fail and it will fall like Humpty Dumpty if we don't come together, both our talents and abilities, and leverage them to stabilize that thing. Now, can I dare say, had it been a woman by the wall, she'd have probably had some glue in her pocket, a paintbrush, painted that egg, and it would have been a Fabergé project. It would have been something greatly valuable. But fun and jokes aside, if we are going to decide today that the rest of our lives will be happily richer after, it's going to take all of us to decide to bless and benefit each other. Thank you.